And Shams has jumped in with breaking news just in the last 15 minutes about Giannis Antetokounmpo, and quite candidly, it could reshape the entire NBA as we know it. Shams, huge audience joining us here at the top of the hour. What is the news this morning?
Greeny, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the two-time NBA MVP, he has not made any firm decisions about his future, but sources tell me for the first time in his 12-year NBA career, he is open-minded about whether his best fit is in Milwaukee or playing elsewhere and exploring what those options outside of Milwaukee look like. Is it sensible for him to potentially leave? And I'm here in Chicago. This is the summit of Giannis Antetokounmpo. All 30 decision makers are descending upon this city now. Agents all in town. There's going to be plenty of natural, substantive conversations that are going to be taking place here. And we've known over the last several years, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been very open-minded about at least expressing that he is going to explore options because his goal is to win a championship. He said it over the years that my goal, I only want to win and compete for rings. He said it on his brother Tanas's podcast last month that if I retire without winning a second championship, he's not going to be able to essentially sleep at night. And so that's his goal. What is that best long-term fit? And for the Bucks part, of course, they want to continue to build around Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they're going into an offseason where they have one first-round pick that they can trade 6 years from now. They don't necessarily have cap space. They have top-heavy salaries. And again, that $54 million contract on their books for next season with the Damian Lillard, whose season is in jeopardy next year with that Achilles tear. So Giannis, for the first time as a Milwaukee Buck, is open to exploring what it looks like potentially outside of Milwaukee.
Shams, considering Giannis won a world championship in Milwaukee, obviously this is about getting assets in return for Milwaukee and the Bucks. But how much of a say will Alex Ratzis, his agent, and Giannis actually have in where he goes?
Jay, Bucks ownership, John Horst, their general manager, they've built a lot of equity. That's been a long-standing relationship, not only with Giannis Antetokounmpo, but his representatives, including Alex Ratzis. And I think those conversations have always been going on. I do expect both sides to meet at some point here in the offseason for a larger, broader discussion. But between now and June's NBA draft, there's going to be plenty of conversations that's going to go on. Teams are going to be reaching out to the Bucks. There's going to be a lot of due diligence that's going to happen. Most of it's going to happen this week in Chicago at the Combine ahead of this lottery and throughout this week. But there's going to be a lot of back and forth communication, of course, between the Bucks and Giannis' side.
Let me bring Wendy into the conversation here. And Sham, stay with me as we'll continue with this. Windman, for the audience just joining us here at the top of the hour, run us through what you think are the most important points here, particularly as it relates to tonight's draft lottery and how all that shapes out.
It's a very monumental day in the NBA because we have the Cooper Flag lottery tonight. There's a team that's going to win the draft lottery tonight that's going to draft Cooper Flag. And even if one of these teams that we think is going to get Giannis or interested in trading for Giannis, if they win the draft lottery, I don't think anybody could be talked into trading that pick. But we'd see about that. And now the second thing about tonight will be the Giannis position of it. Not because a team like Charlotte or Washington potentially could get the second or third pick, but because there's some teams that are real contenders for Giannis who are in this lottery. I'm going to give you three. One, San Antonio. They have a great group of young players with the last two rookies of the year in Victor Wembanyama and Stephon Castle. They traded for De'Aaron Fox. They have a bunch of draft assets, and they've got two picks in the lottery tonight. One of them is this Hawks pick that's not on the screen right now, but you put this stuff together, they could offer potentially two lottery picks in this draft if they wanted to put an offer together for Giannis in addition to players on their roster. The other team I'm going to point out, we have the Suns here, but really that's the Rockets pick. The number 9 pick for the Suns is the Rockets. They have a 4% chance of winning it, a 17% chance of getting to the top 10. This is a team that has a bunch of draft assets that are not theirs that they could offer in a deal for any star player, but specifically a player like Giannis, who is 30 years old, would match more to their core. San Antonio and Houston, very interesting the way they come out tonight. And then the third time I'm going to mention is Brooklyn. Big market, has been hunting and preparing to try to make an offer for Giannis for a while. If they get a pick that jumps up into that top 4 tonight, it strengthens their hand in potentially making an offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay, I feel an obligation to ask the question, Wendy, I'll start with you or Shams. Like, reading Twitter, and obviously, as I mentioned the other day, there very few Mensa meetings are held there. But if you just sort of look at all the stuff that gets thrown out there, the whole world wants to know, well, can he wind up with the Lakers? Can he wind up with the Knicks? Can he wind up with one of the big glamour franchises? What does the reality of all that look like, Winman?
So he's got 2 years on his contract. That means he doesn't have to work with the Bucks. A team that traded for him would know they would have him for 2 years. But it would be better for all parties if the Bucks worked with Giannis and then there would be a contract extension put in place when he was traded. If a team that was trading for him knew they were going to have him basically for the rest of his prime, their offer would increase. And what I will tell you about Milwaukee is this. Milwaukee does not control their draft for the next 5 years. That means if you're going to the trade machine and you're putting together a package of draft picks where the Milwaukee is going to stink the next 3 years, that's not attractive to them. They don't control their draft picks. They need players back. They would also like draft picks for Giannis. And by the way, if you're going to offer a draft pick for Giannis and you're getting him and creating a super team, the Bucks aren't going to be excited about getting your draft picks for the next few years. So ideally, the Bucks want players, and they're going to want other teams' picks. There are several teams who have this exact